Most men who struggle with premature ejaculation believe the problem is only in the body, but there is a hidden, almost invisible mistake that speeds everything up even before the first touch. It's something so common that it goes unnoticed, but it's exactly what makes many men lose control in seconds. This mistake doesn't happen during sex. It starts much earlier, in the mind, and it's what puts the entire body into a state of alert. This silent mistake creates a kind of anticipation that prepares the body to finish quickly, even when the man tries to control himself. It activates an automatic trigger that increases sensitivity, shortens reaction time, and sabotages any attempt to last longer. Today, we're going to expose this mistake and show why fixing it is the first step to regaining control. In the next section, you'll understand exactly why almost everyone treats premature ejaculation the wrong way, and that changes everything. Why most men treat premature ejaculation the wrong way. Most men try to solve premature ejaculation by attacking only the symptom, not the real cause. This creates the false impression that the problem is something purely physical, as if it were just a matter of resistance or lasting longer. But when you ignore what really pulls the trigger of early ejaculation, everything turns into a frustrating race against your own body. And the more you try to force control, the faster you lose it. The most common mistake is looking for immediate solutions, improvised techniques, random breathing tricks, specific positions, or quick fixes. These methods may help for a few seconds, but they don't change the internal conditioning that speeds everything up. And when they don't work, the man thinks the problem is him, which only increases anxiety and makes his reaction time even worse. If you really want change, you need to understand the mechanism behind the mistake, and that's what we're going to break down in the next sections. If this content is helping you understand your own case, go ahead and hit the like button now and subscribe to keep receiving videos that go straight to the point without fluff. Mistake 1. The pressure to perform that speeds up the ejaculation trigger even more. The pressure to not fail creates a state of alert that leaves the body overactivated even before the sexual encounter begins. When a man goes into sex afraid of going soft, afraid of finishing too fast, or worried about performance, the brain interprets this as a threat. And when it senses a threat, it reacts by speeding everything up: breathing, heartbeat, muscle tension, exactly the perfect environment for premature ejaculation to happen. The more you try to impress, the more you turn your body against you. This kind of pressure also creates a cycle of constant monitoring. You keep checking the time, the sensitivity, the rhythm. But this monitoring increases anxiety and further reduces control. It's like trying to drive while looking only in the rearview mirror. You lose control of the situation. A mind focused on performing can't connect to pleasure in a natural way, and that turns sex into a race to avoid disaster. In the next section, you'll discover an even more common mistake, a control technique that many men use thinking it helps, but actually sabotages the body even more. Mistake 2. The control technique many men use that only makes the problem worse. One of the most common mistakes is trying to hold back as much as possible from the very first sign of arousal. Many men believe that tightening the body, holding their breath, or tensing the pelvic floor will give them more control. But the effect is exactly the opposite. When you create physical tension, the body understands that it needs to release the stimulus quickly, and that shortens the time to ejaculation even more. What looks like an emergency solution ends up becoming an involuntary accelerator. Another very common and equally harmful technique is trying to shut down pleasure every time it rises. By blocking pleasure, the brain starts to associate arousal with danger, and that conditions the body to react in a faster and more automatic way. The result is a hypersensitive response pattern that's hard to control and always unpredictable. In the next section, you'll see how a common everyday behavior amplifies this problem and directly affects your sensitivity. Mistake 3. The impact of excessive stimulus consumption and how it messes up your response time. Too much stimulation, especially explicit content consumed at high frequency, trains the brain to seek immediate gratification. When you spend too much time exposed to intense stimuli, your brain starts to lower the threshold for pleasure, causing you to trigger ejaculation much faster during real sex. It's like getting your body used to a constant electric shock and then expecting it to react slowly in normal situations. The body simply can't adapt to that contrast. On top of that, this excessive consumption creates a conditioned response. The brain learns that arousal should end quickly, because in artificial situations, the stimulus is already set up for that. This conditioning transfers to real life, making control much harder. The more you repeat this pattern, the more your body interprets sex as something that must be finished quickly. In the next section, you'll discover how a common belief turns all of this into an even bigger problem. If this video is opening your eyes and helping you understand what's really going on, take a moment now to hit subscribe and like the video to support the channel and keep receiving content that goes straight to the point. Mistake 4. The belief that the problem is only physical. Many men believe that premature ejaculation is caused only by something in the body: excessive sensitivity, low stamina, lack of training. This narrow interpretation leads them to look only for mechanical solutions, completely ignoring the role of the brain. When you believe everything is physical, you end up treating only the surface of the problem and leaving untouched the mental trigger that speeds up your sexual response. And as long as that trigger isn't reprogrammed, the body keeps reacting the same way. This belief leads to an endless search for external solutions, products, isolated techniques, quick tricks. But premature ejaculation is rarely an exclusively physical issue. In the vast majority of cases, the mental and behavioral component is the real protagonist. When a man understands this, he finally opens the door to a more solid, lasting, and natural kind of control, a control that doesn't depend on constant effort. In the next section, you'll see how anxiety and anticipation create the most powerful cycle behind the problem. The cycle of anxiety and anticipation that keeps premature ejaculation active. Anxiety is the strongest fuel behind premature ejaculation because it prepares the body to react too quickly. When a man enters a sexual encounter already expecting the worst, the brain interprets this expectation as an imminent threat. This activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for preparing the body for automatic, explosive responses. The result is a sudden spike in sensitivity, almost as if the body were programmed to finish everything quickly before something goes wrong. Anticipation, in turn, creates a kind of mental rehearsal of failure. The more you imagine that you're going to finish too fast, the more you reinforce that automatic pathway in the brain. The body follows what the mind repeats, and if the mind repeats fear, the body responds with acceleration. That's why many men notice that the more they worry, the worse their control gets. In the next section, you'll understand why trying too hard to control yourself may be exactly what's sabotaging your results. Why some men get worse even when they try to control themselves as much as possible. When a man tries to control every sensation, every second, every movement, he activates a state of hyper-awareness that leaves the body completely tense. This attempt at rigid control turns the act into a mechanical task, not a natural experience. The brain, noticing this excessive effort, interprets it as a sign that something is wrong and responds by speeding up the ejaculation process. In other words, the more you try to control, the more you lose control. This excessive vigilance also prevents the body from entering the state of flow needed to extend pleasure. By focusing on worry, the mind leaves the realm of pleasure and enters analysis, generating anxiety. And anxiety acts like an automatic trigger that shortens sexual response time. That's why many men notice that precisely in the moments when they most want to last longer, they end up going even faster. In the next section, you'll discover how to break the conditioning cycle that keeps everything sped up. If this content is helping you see the problem in a way no one else explains, take a moment to like the video and confirm your subscription so you can keep receiving videos that truly make a difference. How to break the conditioning cycle that shortens ejaculation time. To break the cycle of premature ejaculation, the first step is to undo the conditioning created over the years. That means teaching the body to respond differently to rising arousal. Instead of going into automatic acceleration mode, you need to introduce new experiences that create a slower, more stable, and more conscious pattern. This process doesn't require force, but rather reconstruction. You train the brain to interpret pleasure in a new way, less urgent and more controlled. This reprogramming happens when you reduce physical tension, slow the mind down, and change the way you interpret each sign of arousal. Instead of fighting pleasure, you learn to use it as an ally. Small adjustments in rhythm, breathing, and the way you deal with the climb of stimulation start to send a different message to your nervous system. Over time, the body begins to respond with more calm and predictability. In the next section, you'll understand the difference between quick fixes and truly definitive strategies. The difference between quick strategies and definitive resolution. Many men get frustrated because they use quick techniques and believe that this will solve the problem permanently. Immediate strategies like changing position, taking deep breaths, or stopping movement can help for a few moments, but they don't transform the internal pattern that speeds up sexual response. They work like a band-aid. They avoid the problem for a few seconds, but they don't change the mechanism that triggers premature ejaculation. That's why results are so unstable and vary from day to day. Definitive resolution works differently. It operates at the level of conditioning, in the way the brain interprets pleasure, arousal, and anxiety. When this system is reprogrammed, control stops depending on effort and becomes natural, automatic. The difference is profound. It's no longer about a man trying to hold on, but about the body functioning at the right pace, without pressure. In the next section, you'll discover the most ignored step and the one that's most needed to achieve this kind of solid control. The most ignored step by men who want to control ejaculation. The most ignored step, and at the same time the most decisive, is consistent mental and physical desensitization practice. Most men try to solve the problem only during sex, when the pressure is highest and the body is already revved up. But it's outside the sexual encounter that real control is built. Training the brain in calm moments allows it to learn how to handle pleasure without triggering the automatic response. Without this practice, the body keeps reacting the old way, even if you understand all the theory. Another crucial point is learning to notice the exact moment when the body starts to speed up. Most men only notice when it's already too late, but there is a subtle tipping point that almost no one identifies, and it's exactly that point that determines whether you will maintain control or lose it in seconds. When a man learns to recognize and intervene at this moment, everything changes. In the next section, we'll wrap it all up with a clear conclusion, so you can leave the video knowing exactly what to do from here. If this video is making sense and helping you see the path clearly, take a moment now to like the video and turn on your subscription so you can keep receiving content that truly changes the game. Simple review of the mistakes and the solid path to regain control. Premature ejaculation does not come from a single factor. It is built through habits, beliefs, and automatic responses that the body learns over time. Today, you saw the 4 mistakes that make the problem worse: the pressure to perform, poorly applied control techniques, excessive stimulus consumption, and the belief that everything is only physical. Each of them, in its own way, reinforces the cycle of anxiety and acceleration that sabotages control. By understanding these points, you've already gone further than most men who stay stuck in the same attempts without results. What truly transforms your response time is reprogramming your body and mind to react differently to pleasure. This involves reducing tension, breaking the conditioning created by artificial stimuli, abandoning forced control, and consistently practicing techniques that calm the nervous system. It's not about force, it's about direction. It's not a quick trick, it's reconstruction. By following this path, you'll notice that control stops being a fight and becomes a natural state. And that's the point where everything finally starts to change.